Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing good, and today's video is going to be an interesting one. So I was just on YouTube, minding my own business, watching videos, and then I stumbled across this video by Vanity Fair where they were interviewing someone who's a cult deprogrammer. So I've got my fan on before I get into the story even more. I hope you guys can hear it, but it's super hot here. So yeah, but you know what, let me switch it off. Let me actually just switch it off. Okay, my fan is off. Let me just pour myself a drink and let's get into this. So as mentioned, I came across a video by Vanity Fair and I was like, this is interesting. Like, let me just actually have a look and see what this video is about. And I must say, what intrigued me was the thumbnail. The thumbnail was June Osborne from The Handmaid's Tale, and if you don't know The Handmaid's Tale, then you definitely have to check it out because it's such an awesome series. Like, the similarities between that series and the Jehovah's Witnesses is a bit suspect, so definitely give it a watch and let me know what you think of it. So if you're a fan already, let me know what you think. If you're not, please have a look and then come back to this video and let me know what you actually think of it. But anyways, I clicked on the video and I'm just watching it and I was like, whoa, I need to make a reaction video to this video because my mind was actually blown with how many stuff he was saying that I could actually relate back to the Jehovah's Witness organization. So I made notes, I wrote them down because it's a lot. I could not memorize everything and I want to get everything across. So I managed to just jot down a few points that he mentioned and I just want to talk about them in this video. And yeah, so here's my take on his take on cults, how they are depicted in movies, because the whole video was about how cults were depicted in movies, and then he was reacting to that, explaining as a professional cult deprogrammer, do these things really happen or not? And it was super interesting. So the first point that he made, anyone, all they need from you is just to be in a vulnerable state, to be isolated. Maybe you're feeling worried or hurt about something and they just want you in that form, because if they'll come to you and promise you something that will just change your life, that will better your life, and that's how they just capture you into their group, organization, or whatever it is that you want to call it. And when I thought about that, I was like, this is exactly what the Jehovah's Witness group does. And going forward throughout this video, I'm going to mention what Rick Allen, which is the guy's name, the professional cult deprogrammer, what he says, and then I'm going to see how it correlates to my experience as a Jehovah's Witness. So as mentioned, again, the first point, they want you isolated, vulnerable. The Jehovah's Witness also want you in a similar state. So if you have just lost a loved one, you are perfect bait for them, because they will come to you and explain just how God is going to change the earth and change it into a paradise, and you will be able to see your loved ones who have passed away, and they'll make these promises or all of these things that will happen in the future that will just entice you as a person, and that's how they capture you. And they also want you to be isolated as well, but I will get more into that later in the video. So let's move on to the second point. Rick Allen points out that these groups use different avenues of manipulation, and they use this over their group members. They will make them lose their sense of individuality or autonomy. they can't critically think for themselves, and then you essentially need the group to guide you on how to perceive reality. And with Jehovah's Witnesses, that is exactly the same thing that also takes place, where you don't have a sense of individuality. You need to start thinking now as the whole organization thinks, and if you don't think like that, then something is wrong with you in their eyes. You cannot be gay or lesbian, you cannot be a hoe in the streets, you cannot do anything that will make you different from the group. You cannot have like this super colorful hairstyle. I know there was a point in our congregation or in our group circuit where having dreadlocks as a woman was frowned upon, you know. You can't dress too lavishly. You can't be yourself. To be honest, you can't be yourself. You have to be like the group. You have to dress like everyone. You have to speak like everyone. You have to carry yourself like everyone. And you can definitely not critically think for yourself. Oh no, honey. Think for what? Why are you thinking when there's 8 men who can think for you and tell you what to think? You know, I remember when I was really doing research about the organization and realizing that, you know what, I think something is wrong here and I want to leave. There was actually a friend of mine that I used to work with, and I would try to talk to her about my experiences because she was also within the organization. And I mentioned that I feel like it's a cult, you know, like when you literally just look up the points of what makes an organization or a group a cult, there's a lot of points that the organization fell into or could be categorized under. And she was just like, no, what do you mean? It's not a cult. You know, she was just so defensive. And looking back, I can't blame her because of you are conditioned to not critically think for yourself. And as someone who's gone to university, as someone who's done like research projects, as someone who has done, you know, just assignments at school, you have to do your own research. And when they say critically discuss, you need to reference from different sources. So it boggled me how someone who went to university couldn't think like that. Like, you literally have school projects yourself, or you've had them, you reference different sources, but when it comes to this one group, no, you can't do the same thing. They have to tell you what books to use, which is their own. And for me, that already just didn't sit well. So what Rick Allen says here about cults not allowing you to critically think is exactly what Jehovah's Witnesses don't want. They don't want you to critically think for yourself, which is why they don't want you to pursue a higher education. Because when you pursue a higher education, you start thinking for yourself. You learn to critically evaluate topics and see if what is being said is true or not. It's not even actually about being true or not. It's about how you feel about it. So again, you can't be an individual. You can't critically think. It's not about how you see things. It's not about the research you've done yourself. It's about 8 men and elders in those specific congregations telling you what to do, what to think, how to perceive your reality, essentially. I'm busy drinking here. Let me just have a sip of this. So a point that is so loved within the Jehovah's Witness group, like, it literally made me laugh when I heard Rick Allen, the cult deprogrammer, speak about this. I literally laughed because he says in cults they will make you feel like it's a privilege to be part of the group. And I was like, how many times did I hear the line at conventions or at meetings where a church elder would tell us how privileged we are to be part of this group that hides child molesters, child predators, this group that shuns its people when they don't believe in the group anymore, or they want to pursue their own life, or they want to start being who they truly are, be it explore their sexuality or pursue a certain career path that doesn't align with the group, you shun those people. But then again, it's a privilege to be part of this group. So when I heard this, I laughed so much, and I was like, this is so true. And it also creates this for people within the group, it creates this mentality of being elitist. And what it does is it makes you feel like you're so privileged to be part of this group, you are better than people who are not part of this group. And in actuality, what it does is it separates you from people. You now start isolating yourself from people because you think you're better than them. What the group or the church or the cult is doing is it's separating you from your loved ones, your friends. And then the more you spend time with them, the more you start thinking like them, the more you start behaving like them, the more your reality and perception of it is being altered and changed. And then you just don't even know what the real reality is of life, because if you are now so deep in this group, they tell you what to think and how to perceive life. And that's what happens with a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, if not all of them, who still believe in the group and who are still within it. So yeah, it's not actually a privilege. No, if you didn't get that from the points that I just said, no, it's not a privilege to be part of the group. And then point 4. So point 4, Rick Allen references David Koresh, who was a cult leader who was super charismatic but very demanding towards his followers, which ultimately led to the I would say the failing of his group. So what he did when they would have like I don't know, group sessions or just sit together, is that he would point out people within the cult who were very smart. He'd point out like a professor, and then the professor would speak about how they went to Harvard, Yale, or wherever, somewhere prestigious, and how their life was not fulfilled, they were married or whatever, and then they came into the cult and their lives has changed. And Jehovah's Witnesses love doing that. They have a publication that goes out every month, I don't know if it still goes out, called The Awake, where they had so many testimonials of people who were drug dealers, doctors, Nazis, or you know, all of these things. People who were just held certain positions in life, and then they use their testimonials to lure people and convince them into thinking that, wow, this group has like the smartest people who are part of it, or people who held so many high positions, I mean such great positions, and they're now part of this group. And what it does is it convinces you to think like, wow, if someone this smart can be part of this group, then there's nothing wrong, like I should be part of it as well. And that is just a manipulation tactic that they use. And in my opinion, some of those stories are fabricated. I really think they're fabricated. I remember coming across this YouTube video and I really wanted to link it down in the description box, but I can't find it for the life of me. It's this guy who talks about how Kevin, I think the name is Kevin. It's Kevin, or I'm not sure. If anyone knows this, please just put it down in the comment section. But how there's this one name that the JWs consistently use in their testimonials, and this person has literally gone through everything. They've been in World War I, they were in World War II, they were in Namibia when there was an explosion somewhere from terrorists, they were then in Europe and when something happened. Like every time they give a testimonial about how someone, you know, did this amazing thing, and yeah, they're part of the religion now, they keep using the same name. I think it's Kyle. It's a white name, Kyle, Kevin, I can't remember, but it's so funny. So that's why I think that some of these testimonials that we see are fabricated. And I remember as well when we give talks, be it at Kingdom Halls or in conventions, sometimes you were encouraged to fabricate your story so that, you know, the punch could just hit the people, so that they can emotionally manipulate you even more, so you just leave there feeling like, oh wow, the story's so touching, like my struggles are nothing compared to this person who's still part of the organization, you know. So yeah, that's what they did. Rick Allen points out to how you can't question the religion, and it's so mind-boggling. And he also points it out in the video that when you join any other group, be it you decide to volunteer your time or offer some money or just anything, you question it. You question their cause. You question how they will use the finances. You question, you know, how your time will be dedicated. Like, even if you get a new job, you question about the salary, the hours that you need to put in, everything. But when it comes to this religion or cult, you can't question them. These groups, you cannot question them, because when you question them, it seems like you're against them, you know. You literally get to one of their meetings, and if you just sit down and ask someone, is this a cult, they'll immediately be like, no, why do you think it's a cult, and answer your question with another question, because you can't question them. What do you mean? So that was just quite interesting, because in the Jehovah's Witness organization, you can question, but up until a certain point. Up until a certain point, you can question. After that point, you are just doing the most now. You are pushing their buttons, and you are borderline an apostate. So, point 6, or the next point, they refer to The Handmaid's Tale, my favorite series. Again, if you have not watched it, you have to really watch it. It's so good. But there's a woman who's giving birth, and as she's giving birth, it's literally a whole group of other women with her, and they are so deep within the mentality of the regime at the time, the leadership, the government, you know, the leaders, whatever. They believe everything where when a woman gives birth, I don't want to go into the details of the whole story of The Handmaid's Tale, but essentially when the woman is giving birth, it's a whole group activity where it doesn't feel like it's an individual who's now giving birth, but it's collectively all of these women, they're busy giving birth. And that's what JWs do. They take away your individuality, and you now feel like you are a part of the group, and you start thinking like the group, and you behave like the group, and then they keep altering your reality little by little, and they break it down little by little to the point now where you just believe everything that they say, such as we are living in the last, what is the saying, in the last part of the last days. Like, what even is that? But anyways, it's just like how times now are so horrible. Killings, murders, crime has just reached the highest peak ever. I don't know how true this is, because of, for me, especially as a black person, I feel like there's no better time to be alive than right now. Of course, there are certain countries where black people still get killed, and the police just randomly, you know, will stop you and do whatever that it is that they want to do, which is horrible, of course. But I can become whoever it is that I want, you know. I can pursue any career. I can just do anything that I want. It might be difficult for me, it might be harder, I might have more hurdles than the average white person, but I can still do those things. Can I say the same thing 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 100 years ago? I would be a slave. I'd be a maid by now, working for some white family, and I don't know, just bad stuff happening to me just because of the color of my skin, you know. And I'm not saying that the times are better now for black, I mean the times are excellent or great for black people right now, but they are much better. So when they say it's the worst I don't know, time to ever be alive, you know, things are horrible, I just don't understand that concept. I don't buy into it. I will not be convinced into it, because I think that the world is constantly getting worse and worse. I don't know, honestly. I honestly don't know, and I don't buy into it. So yeah, they alter your reality as mentioned, so you will just see that, you know, the world is a horrible place. And one thing I've realized as a person, as an adult, as I've grown, is that the more you look for things in life, the more they will pop up. So if you're a person who's constantly looking for problems within your life, within the world, you will see them. You will see all of these the pandemics, climate change, and you know, people getting violated, all of these horrific things. You will see more and more of them. But if you choose to see the good in the world, yes, you will see the bad, but you will always also see the great things that are happening, you know. And I feel like my channel is testament to that, where I'm connecting with so many of you that I don't even know, but we all have this shared experience, and we're just talking to each other, sharing our experience with this group, how we overcame it or how we're busy overcoming it, and encouraging each other. Like, that is something great happening, something good. And if I choose to see that and surround myself with that, more of those things will pop up. So what the group does, again, is alters your reality to just see problems over and over and convince you that, you know what, the world, it is coming to an end. But is it really coming to an end? So there's a man named Robert Cialdini. I don't know if I'm saying his surname correctly. I apologize if I got it wrong. But he wrote about basic principles of influence, and one of them is about social proof. And basically what he was explaining is that we rely on the feedback of the people around us, and they ultimately let us know what is real and what is not real. The Jehovah's Witnesses use this principle to just isolate people and have you, you know, stay away from people who are not part of the religion, and this will ultimately just isolate you from the real reality of life, and then have you see things the way the rest of the group sees life. And just thinking back, I remember when we would still preach to people and have like Bible studies. There's a Bible book we used to conduct the Bible studies called What Does the Bible Really Teach? And in chapter one already, the book tells the student or the person that you are really trying to teach the Bible, not even the Bible, but you're trying to convert into being a Jehovah's Witness, that family members might be against them learning the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses. They might have some words to say, they might be against it or not for it, and people like that, you need to limit your time with them. You need to move away from them. You need to ignore them, because they will push you away from God and, you know, fulfilling his purpose, you know, something like that. And already you can just see from the jump, the brainwashing begins to isolate a person and remove them from the real reality of life. So in a cult, the social proof is controlled by the group, it's controlled by the leaders, and it's very false, as I've explained. Well, in my experience, or in my perception, I think it's false, and it might be false, but it's very powerful. And you see this into the next point that I'm going to talk about. The difficulty of leaving a cult. I remember now the video that I just put up about like how difficult it is to leave a cult, and I got so emotional. And it's so difficult, like 5 years later, 3 years later, 1 month later, you know, it's just difficult at different points in your lives, because certain things will trigger you, certain things will happen. But leaving, like just the leaving of like, I'm not coming back, that is so difficult. Like right in the beginning, where like you're supposed to go to meetings the next day and you're like, I'm not going, I'm done. Like that is just so difficult to stick to your guns, especially if you live in a household where there are still people who practice, who believe in it, and they will now treat you very differently because now you've decided to choose a different path for your life. It's so difficult because mentally you feel so trapped. You feel so trapped in this group, and you feel like it's your fault. There's something to be blamed for you leaving. Like something is wrong with you. And essentially what Rick Allen says is that that's what the group wants. That's what the group leaders want. They want you to feel like it's just so difficult for you to leave that you can't even leave, because you have a moral obligation to this group. You have a commitment that you need to uphold with this group, and that is not true, you know. Like, I don't know, even for myself, if I'll ever get to a point where I can just comfortably say, like, yeah, that group is so dumb, because I was raised in it, you know. There was a point in my life where I truly believed everything that was being said. So in leaving, it's so difficult, and you feel like you're doing something wrong, even though you're doing something right, something for yourself. You do have those doubts of like, am I even doing, is this even right? You know, you see like there's a pandemic and you're like, wait, is this what they were talking about? Am I making the wrong move here? But you are not, you know, you are not. You are prioritizing yourself. You are doing what's right for you. This is the path you've chosen because of it sits right with you. This is the life that you want to live. Be it you want to experience another religion, be it you want to pursue another career path, you want to pursue your sexuality, you want to pursue not being associated to any religion, like, it's perfectly fine. You don't need to explain yourself. Like, you don't need to. And cults will make you feel like, no, you need to explain yourself because of you have a moral obligation with us. You've committed to us. We own you. You need to tell us what's going on. And they don't, you know, they honestly don't. But yeah, this video, I think I'm gonna end it here. Like, just watching that video for me was just so insightful and so interesting. And as mentioned, I will link it down in the description box, because there's just so much more to learn about leaving an organization like this, or a group like this, that are just so high control. Because if you think you've left and you don't have to deal with it anymore, and great, you've moved away or you've changed your circle of friends, but the emotional trauma like sticks with you, you know. It's so difficult. And that's why in my previous videos I've really encouraged each and every one of you who has left, or if you're thinking of leaving, to seek just professional help. I feel like it could really just help you to navigate and unpack the emotions that you have, and these feelings of confusion, guilt, and sadness, whatever it is that you feel, and whatever it is that happened to you in the past because of this group. Like, I feel like professional help can definitely help us all to heal and move on. But yeah, I want to leave you all here. Thank you so much for making the time to watch my videos. Please, if you have not subscribed, subscribe to my channel, and please leave a like, and also just recommend, hey, what other videos you want to see from me. Do you want to see me talk to another person who's left and their experience? Do you want to, I don't know, see me do a certain thing that, you know, as JWs you couldn't do in our past life? I'm thinking about like getting a tattoo, but I'm kind of scared. But yeah, like stuff like that. Please let me know what it is that you want to see from me. But other than that, I'm gonna leave you all here. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.